Hello once again, my friend. My name is still Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my room. Now, this week's book is Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. This is probably one of my favorite books of all time. This is my copy of it. It's the one translated by Richard Pavier and Larissa Volikonski. I probably said those wrong, but I'm probably going to say a lot of names wrong in this review. These are the two translators that you will want if you're going to get it, because these are the two best. But yeah, this is my copy. This is my edition. Well, this edition is 776 pages. Yeah, it's a big book. The book itself is split into 4 parts with 4 books in each part. But yeah, first up, characters. First character that is really introduced to the story is Fyodor Karamazov. He's the father of the brothers that are mentioned in the title. And this guy is just a dick, honestly. From the moment that his kids were born, he didn't really care about them at all. He didn't raise them. His servants raised them, Grigory, who I'm not really going to get into. But Grigory basically raised all 4 of the brothers that I'm going to discuss. And then you have someone who's basically the complete opposite of everyone else in this whole novel. You got Alyosha Karamazov. He is the religious one in this book. He's also the youngest of the brothers, and from the description on the cover, he's also the protagonist, which is a very interesting thing to discuss, why Alyosha is the protagonist. And then you have Ivan Karamazov. He's basically the opposite of Alyosha, but you got Ivan, who is an atheist. So that makes Alyosha and Ivan's conversations very, very interesting. He's also very strict in his beliefs. Unless you can give him undeniable proof, he will not change his opinion on anything. But nevertheless, he attempts to do the right thing whenever possible, and due to events that take place in the novel, he has very high moral conflictions inside of him. He's also the author of a chapter called The Grand Inquisitor. This is also one of the most compelling parts of the book. It's kind of long, and it's basically one whole big paragraph for about 20 pages, something like that. But it's very good. He's also very intelligent, and he is in love with a woman named Katerina Ivanovna. I really hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not, but Ivanovna. That's how I'm going to say it. And then you have the third brother, Dmitry Karamazov. He is basically the scoundrel in this novel, because he tries to do the right thing, but he consistently gets himself in trouble. But in that fact, he is also one of the most interesting characters in the whole entire novel. All these characters are interesting in their own right, but he is probably the one that most people can actually relate to. And he's also in love with a woman named Grushenka. And then you have the technically 4th brother, named Smerdyakov. Smerdyakov is the villain in this novel. He is the bastard son of Fyodor Karamazov. Because he is the bastard son, and nobody really is sure, it's never actually said in the book that he is legitimately the son of Fyodor, but it's kind of just assumed throughout the book. And he works as a servant for Fyodor, because there's no way to prove that he has any connection to him besides servitude. Even though he's a servant, he's very intelligent. He keeps his own thoughts, but he knows how to speak them when the time comes. You got Katerina Ivanovna, who is a very rich woman who is at the beginning of the novel engaged to Dmitry. But throughout the novel, she falls in love with Ivan. You have Grushenka, who's basically a prostitute, who Dmitry falls in love with during his engagement to Katerina. She doesn't play a huge role in the book, but she plays a significant one nonetheless. And she's a very interesting character as well. They have the elder Zosima. He's basically Alyosha's guide and mentor. He's his father figure because, as I said, Fyodor was never really there for them. And so he turned to the monk ministry and became a monk, and basically looked upon Father Zosima as his father figure. And then you have the 2 main children of this book. You have Kolya, who ends up befriending Alyosha over time, and He's friends with a guy named Ilyusha. Ilyusha is a child who Alyosha meets. This is a child who Alyosha comes to care deeply for. The plot. The plot is basically, as I said, split 4 books, 4 parts. Book 1 deals with an introduction to every main character. There's a chapter for Fyodor's history. There's a chapter for Alyosha, Ivan, Dmitri. Smerdyakov kind of has his own later on, like in book 2, I think. And then after all those introductions of the 4 people, Fyodor, Ivan, Alyosha, Dmitri, after their introductions, you see them go to a dinner at the other Zosima's, his place. I don't really know what to call it. And then the book kind of just goes off from there. Anything else I say would be a spoiler, and so I don't really want to go much more into it. If this so far has intrigued you enough to read it, because it is great. It is a great book. So why am I making the characters so much longer than the plot? Alright, on to theme. One of the main themes in this book is Christianity versus atheism, which is basically a conflict that goes on between Alyosha and Ivan at the beginning to the mid part of this book. And that's kind of throughout the whole novel as well. But it's another kind of cool thing to watch. Once again with the Grand Inquisitor chapter. That chapter pays significant attention to because it is fascinating. It's one of the most interesting chapters in the whole freaking book. And I wish I had seen it the first time I read it, because oh my gosh, it's crazy. And then you have Truth and Deception, Love and Hate. Truth and Deception is basically in every book in one way, shape, or form. And then you have Love and Hate, which is primarily goes on between Dmitri, Ivan, Katerina, and Grushenko. And then Self-Manipulation. This is one that kind of goes on with Ivan towards the end. Like I said, events lead up to it, which cause him to doubt himself, basically, and think himself in a way that he shouldn't. Alright, as I said, this book is probably one of my favorites. It's in my top 5 novels, definitely. It's got a great story, which leaves you wondering what's going to happen from the first pages to the last pages. It's got characters that have a great layer of depth to them. It's got themes worth thinking about, and overall, it's just one of the greatest Russian novels that have ever come out of Russia. And it's a great one that Dostoevsky ended on. But yeah, just make sure that you're fully focused when you read it. As my teacher said, don't sit in a comfy chair while you read this because you'll fall asleep. And it just won't work out well. I recommend it if you enjoy Russian works, Dostoevsky's novels. I have all of them, to my knowledge. Besides the short stories, I have all of them. Or if you like good classic literature. So yeah, that's it for now. As always, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. If you feel so obliged to, leave a comment down below. Tell me your opinion of the book, and what you liked, didn't like about it, didn't like about this review. Once again, my name is Nick Pell, and as always, keep on reading.